A new season is almost upon us, and things are looking a bit different in Union Land as we head into 2025. We'll go over all the new changes and expectations for the year and get you ready for the Union's first game of the season this Saturday. A brand new season of Union Insider starts right now. Hey everyone, and welcome back to another season of Union Insider presented by Independence Blue Cross. It's a new Union season, but same old hosts on this end. I'm Marisa, and I'm so happy to be reunited with two of my favorite Union alums, Sebastian Latou and Sheanon Williams. Fellas, let's hear it. How was your off season?
It was long off season for the first time, not making the playoff, having a bit extra vacation, but it was good, The battery are recharged and ready for hopefully a great season with the Union.
Ready for 2025? What about you, Shay?
It was good. Lots of energy in the city. Got to see those birds win a Super Bowl. So had a great time just getting to spend some time with the family. The off season always comes at the right time, right when you need to recharge the batteries.
Yeah, hopefully that carries over for the Union this year. Well, since the last time the Union stepped on the field in October, there's been several changes in the organization, including the man in charge. Let's take a look at all the changes as we're just days away from the 2025 season. For the first time in 10 years, the Union have a new head coach. Bradley Cardinal was named the fourth coach in Union history on January 2nd, taking over after a 10-year run from Jim Curtin. The Johannesburg, South African native has previous experience within the league, making stops as the head coach at St. Louis City and also serving as an assistant and interim coach of the New York Red Bulls. He led St. Louis SC to the top seed in the Western Conference in 2023. That was their first year of existence, but a coach isn't the only new thing for the Union this year. They also made several new signings to the roster this offseason. The most notable one is their most recent, bringing in Uruguayan international Bruno Damiani from Nacional on a club record $3 million fee. They also brought in Argentinian defender Jan Glavinovic from Newell's Old Boys to help enforce the back line. Other additions include a plethora of homegrown talents like Frankie Westfield, Neil Pierre, CJ Olney, and Eddie Davis, as well as Serbian midfielder Jovan Lucic. However, there were also some notable departures. Jack McGlynn was sold to the Houston Dynamo for a guaranteed $2.1 million, and center back Jack Elliott is now a member of the Chicago Fire. Other departures include Leon Flack, Sam Aditiran, Sanders Ngabo, and Jamir Bedadiccio, and Brandon Craig. So we can't talk about this offseason, fellas, without talking about the hiring of new head coach Bradley Cardinal. Knowing what we know from his previous stops within the league, what do you think will be the foundation of a Bradley Cardinal Philadelphia Union?
I think if Bradley Cardinal signed for the Union and have Ernst signing him, it's because he's really entering into the philosophy of the team. They want to bring much more, younger group, into this year's season. There's a lot of talent, coming from the academy, and I think with Bradley Cardinal, I think a lot of them are going to have their chance to show what they can do, at the higher level. And what we can see, from him having the first season, in St. Louis as a new coach, he was already successful, from the first year. So I think it's going to bring a lot of new things into his team. I think much more, competition into the roster to find, the best to play weekend in, weekend out. And at the end, I think with his leadership and coming to a new team, everybody, should be, playing the same way.
So what do you think we can see from him from a tactical point of view, given what we saw in his previous stops?
I think it'll be pretty similar to how they set up last year. Maybe a little bit different in the formation, but I think a lot of it will be based off of what they've already been building. I think that was a big part of hiring Bradley Cardinal, is for him to continue on with what Jim Curtin left off as. I think with last season, I think things got a little stale, and sometimes some freshness, some new ideas, new ways to motivate teams, I think is going to be huge. And I think Bradley Cardinal, his experience in the league and having been through the gauntlet that is the season, I think he can bring that experience here to Philadelphia and hopefully bring the team back to the playoffs.
So with the combination of Carnell and a new signing up top, a big one with Damiani, how do you think that combination will help the Union this season?
I think it's great. What I see about all the signing, especially the forward coming, just this week, there's a lot of like good competition now in the team. We have 3 forwards who can play, plus the youngster, Davis, who signed as well. In the midfield, lots of addition. We don't really know who is going to play right now. It's pretty much every position is to grab to who is going to be the best at practice and during those games. And the same for the defense. We lost, Jack Elliott, but we add, Jan Glavinovic, who could be, his replacement, and at the same time, he kind of give, I think, a good mix, between the young guys and the old guys. And knowing that last year was not a successful season is going to really, I think, put the team now motivated to kind of do better. And everybody, like I say, I think will have his chance to show, the new coach what they can do.
So the off-season moves are the most important piece of the puzzle for a new season. But the next step is playing the games on the schedule. So what does the Union schedule look like for 2025? Oh my gosh, I am so glad you asked. Let's take a look at the opposition for this season. The Union kick off their season on Saturday with their first road trip of the year as they go down to Florida to take on Orlando City SC. Their first national TV game will be a Sunday afternoon home tilt with Nashville SC on March 16th, 2 p.m. on Fox. And guys, wait, it's also Dollar Dog Night at Subaru Park, so mark your calendars. Some other notables throughout the season: the Union host reigning MLS Cup champions LA Galaxy on May 14th, and then just 10 days later host Lionel Messi and Inter Miami. They'll also host New York Red Bulls on Rivalry Night on July 12th, and they make their furthest road trip of the season on September 13th when they take on the Vancouver Whitecaps in Western Canada. They'll close out their season in Charlotte on October 18th, which of course is Decision Day, and it's always a very important day for the Union's playoff chances. So the Union had a better road record last year than they did home record. How do you think that will benefit them starting this season on the road?
I don't know if it's going to benefit them. I think they have the experience, but I think since the team really changed a lot, I think the home is, I think, the most important for this season. If they can, come back and make, Subaru back as a fortress, as we say all the time, it's the most important. If you can really have the maximum point when you play at home, then when you go away, you feel, maybe finding the same rhythm than they were last year. But you need to, always make the most of it when you play at Subaru Park. So it's going to be interesting. I think they are maybe thinking about how good they were last year in playing away, but I think with Sheanon, we all know it doesn't really matter. Every season is different, so they're going to start, from zero, and he starts, in Orlando this weekend. A tough match, against a tough opponent. Luckily, they're going to have a good weather, warm, so it's going to be a good, way to start the season. But everything changed, so we'll see, how they do in their first game in Orlando. But then the first home game, on March 1st will be huge against Cincinnati.
Sheanon, are there any games you have circled as something that I know besides Dollar Dog Night? Is there any other opponent that you're really much looking forward to seeing how this team takes shape against?
To be honest, every season is new, like Seba talked about, and every team always improves every year. That's the neat thing about MLS is how many teams look to push the boundaries on bringing in new signings. So always excited to see the new signings that come into the league. There's always a plethora of guys that come in and shock you, and hopefully the Union have some of those guys this year.
We've got more Union Insider for you in a bit, but first, here's your Union trivia question presented by United Concordia. Who were the only 2 Union players to play in all 34 matches in 2024? Find out the answer later in the show. Welcome back to Union Insider presented by Independence Blue Cross. As we mentioned earlier, the Union had a new man at the helm this season, hiring Bradley Carnell at the start of the year. So how does a new head coach adapt to a new team, a new city? And conversely, how does a club adapt to a new voice in charge? Union Club reporter Sage Hurley sat down with Carnell during the club's preseason trip to Spain for a first ever edition of Coffee Talk.
Bradley Carnell, cheers to the 2025 season.
Cheers.
And your new role as the Philadelphia Union's head coach.
Yeah, thank you very much.
There's so much to look forward to with this team, but before we look ahead, let's look back. You come to Philadelphia with a very robust resume, not only as a player, but as a coach. When did your soccer journey begin?
As long as I can remember. I grew up in the south of Johannesburg in South Africa, and I was a ball boy or a mascot for my family's team in the southern suburbs. And all I can ever remember is me alongside a ball, right? And then got to about the age of 8 or 9, started playing a little bit of competitive soccer. And all of a sudden, you know, you get a feel for it, you get a desire and a passion. Managed to get the opportunity going through the ranks of the youth national teams in South Africa and then captaining them up until the U23 level, representing my country at a later stage. Obviously in 1997 made my debut and was afforded the opportunity of going to places and traveling in, you know, now at the meantime, 3 different continents, 3 countries, 3 different cultures. Along the way, you know, I've got married. My 2 daughters now were born and raised in Germany a little bit and in South Africa, and now we're living in America. So we've kind of gone full circle around the world.
You've been traveling all over the place, but back where it started in South Africa, that's where you made your debut, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And you were really young when that happened. And there's a lot of players on this team that have and will make their debut around a similar age. Do you think that's something that can help you connect to those players and the pathway to the pros?
100%. You know, I see when I watch the young guns go at it here, I was in their shoes. You know, I turned pro at 16 as well, and we have a bunch of youngsters. I think it's more a protected environment. You know, back in those days, real old school. You know, a different mentality in terms of how you bring young people along. I think that's got a lot better in a better space because there you had to sink or swim. I had to learn to swim very quickly. I think here it's more nurtured, more guided into terms of like holistic development of not just the player but also the person. If I can find a good balance between that, especially with the amount of youth and what the club stands for with regards to development, I think that's a real good recipe for success.
So I'm sure this is the first of many coffees we'll have throughout the season, but to close us out, do you have a message for those sports mad fans in Philadelphia who are really excited to see what the season holds?
Yeah, listen, we've been working on our signature. The signature is energy, passion, desire. And I know the fans are that way inclined as well. So if we can build a product that's not only entertaining but successful and end-to-end energy and excitement, I think it's something to look forward to.
Cheers to that.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sage. And speaking of the preseason, the team split their time between 2 cities. Along with training in familiar Clearwater, Florida, the team also held preseason training in Marbella, Spain. This busy preseason was all captured in a new docu-series the team debuted called Becoming the U. It can be found on the Union's YouTube page, but since we love you so much, we're going to show you a preview of it here first. Take a look at some of the best moments from the 2025 preseason.
Gwen, do this.
Pennies off. I got! Oh, South. 3-1, 3-1. Yes! Yes! Cam, open. Yes! This mic's uncomfortable. Cover middle, South. Here we go. Hey!
It's cold. Yesterday was warmer. I told them. I never speak. Just the warm up. We missed.
Here we go.
Oh. You confuse me. Don't go with the head. Danny! They have the ball. Touches. Yes, Winnie! It's corner. Shoot, guys, shoot!
Watch out, Buzz. I got long legs. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Dave! There it is. It's hard to see. I got 5. Yes, that's... You got pink eye.
I just got nailed in the eye.
All right. Rick looks really small in the goal right now. I don't know why. We need balls. We get some balls? Quinn, need some balls, dog. He doesn't notice, but I'm about to fucking meg him. What? Come!
It's gonna be the best night job they ever had.
After the last time, you shouldn't say anything. We are together here. You and me. 2 10s, yeah. Get up! Hey, hey! David, stay with your one. Chris! Good! Can you do that again, Mike? Lucky. Good kill.
We're coming up on a break for Union Insider, but when we return, we'll preview the first Union game of the 2025 campaign as the Union take on Orlando City SC on Saturday. Time for this week's Union Update presented by Torque. The Union made a big splash this week, signing Uruguayan international Bruno Damiani from Nacional in the Uruguayan Premier Division. Here's what the team had to say about the big signing this week.
You know, he's hit the ground running, and we're going to continue building up his fitness. And yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time to get him fully integrated. And but that's the exciting part now. We know he's really a philosophy player. He's aggressive against the ball. You know, holds up the play really well, strong in the air, and a dominating threat in the box. So you know, all of these things, if you put them in our game model, all speaks to exactly how he can complement the team.
Damiani scored 12 goals and added 5 assists in 37 games while on loan with Boston River. The 22-year-old made his debut for the Uruguayan national team on May 31st, 2024 in a friendly match against Costa Rica. Welcome back to Union Insider presented by Independence Blue Cross. I'm Marisa Pilla. I'm here with Sheanon Williams and Sebastian Letou. I did Sheanon first. I threw you off. I saw it. It's time for our first game preview of the season, and with the Union traveling down to the Sunshine State to take on Orlando City SC, it's time for our first keys to the game presented by Subaru. So Seba, what's your key?
I'm first now?
Yeah, always.
Okay. So I think for me, in this game, Orlando, being one of the best teams, last year in the Eastern Conference, they didn't change much, their team. Just their main forward, got transferred out of the team, but then pretty much everything stays the same for them. So if it's kind of the same, then the Union, having a great season, they don't change their defense. I think for the Union is to be, opportunistic of the mistake of the back four. I think it might be the weakness from Orlando. The 2 center back are not maybe the fastest, in their decision making. So if we can, maybe get a goal, out of a bad pass, a bad communication, between them, and kind of surprise them with maybe some pressing, at certain time during that game, we should be able, to score some goals. So I am hoping, Orlando is still believing they are, still the best in the Eastern Conference and play, not as concentrated and maybe do little mistakes that the Union have been doing the past season.
How about you, Sheanon?
For me, I'm going to go with the defense. I'd like to see them start the game with a solid back four. We obviously know about the new center back pairing, but the rest of it will stay the same. And I think that it's important for us to get off to a good start and not fall behind early on in this season. If we can have a strong defensive unit, I think that'll be the catalyst moving forward for the season to go well.
It's time for our last break of the show, but when we return, we'll bring you a new segment where the guys give their final thoughts on the first episode of the 2025 season. Union Insider will wrap up after this. Here's the answer to this week's Union Trivia question presented by United Concordia. Kai Wagner and Quinn Sullivan were the only players on the Union last season to play in all 34 MLS games. It's our final segment here on Union Insider, and a new one at that. It's time for the final whistle. In this segment, the guys will give their final thoughts for the show each week. It can be about the matchup, an overall impression they had of the club, or really anything on their minds at the moment. I know that's a little scary to leave it up that general for these two, but Sheanon, let's start with you. What is your final thought?
My final thought is to see this whole thing, this whole jigsaw puzzle come to fruition here. I think last year we went through kind of a mid-season rebuild, getting rid of some key players, adding some guys in, trying to get those guys acclimated. We've added some more now, and I'd like to see the pieces get put together. Bradley Carnell, the only Union manager that Seba and I haven't played for now, so it'll be interesting to see his spin on it, how he he does things here in Philadelphia, and I wish him all the best.
Yeah, and for me, I'm just excited. I think it's a lot of new pieces, coming this season. First, like Sheanon said, with the head coach. Is he going to be able to put right away, his little chemistry between all the players and what he wants to do, with the team? And what I like to see too is like all the experts right now are not really putting the Union, very high in the standing. I think the best I saw on MLS.com was 8th. So can he give a little bit fuel to these teams that's showing to them that yes, they're a young group, but they can, I think, surprise a lot of people. But like I said, they need to really play together, and they will be hopefully in the playoff this season, and like Sheanon says, surprise a lot of people. And we don't know it yet. It could be a Kevin Sullivan, it could be a CJ only, it could be a Davis. We are going to see for sure 1, 2, 3, 4 maybe young player of the Union coming through and really helping this team gain results. And it's going to be, I think, very exciting for all the Union fan base.
There is a lot of potential in this team, and it's going to be exciting to see the pieces get put together. That's going to do it for this one. The Union are on the road for game number 1 this season as they travel down to Florida to take on Orlando City SC Saturday night, 7:30 p.m. Sheanon will be alongside the one and only Dave Leno on the radio call 97.5 The Fanatic. The game will also be seen on MLS Season Pass. For Sheanon and Seba, I'm Marisa, and we'll see you next week.